progress. Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the phase 1 of Part 2 Internships 24, the informative webinar. This event is focused on unlocking your potential, mastering LinkedIn, and elevating your CV, which is organized by the IEEE student branch of SLIIT and IAS chapter of SLIIT that is organized to raise awareness among undergraduates on the value of hands-on experience through internship opportunities. Path to Internship 24 is a platform that equips students with the necessary strategies and skills to navigate internships successfully and grow professionally. Today, we're diving deep into strategies and insights that will empower you to take your professional journey to new heights. Before we kick things off, let's take a moment to go over the exciting agenda we have lined up for you. We'll be learning essential tips to craft a standout CV. Stay tuned for an exciting announcement. Get ready for an interactive quiz discovering strategies to maximize LinkedIn Q&A session with our speaker. Kindly jot down any questions that arise and feel free to share them through the chat during the Q&A session. I'm Chania Fury, your moderator for today's session. Let's embark on this journey together and make the most out of today's event. Now, without further ado, please join me in welcoming our esteemed guest speaker for today's event. Mr. Praneeth Pires is currently serving as a software engineering lead at Trivago NV, based in Germany. As the founder of the YouTube channel Hexcoder, he has leveraged his platform as a tech YouTuber to share valuable insights and industry trends with a global audience. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Mr. Praneeth Pires as he shares his expertise and insights with us today. We are honored to have you as our guest speaker. Now, I invite Mr. Praneeth Pires to take the virtual stage and share his valuable insights with us. Mr. Praneeth Pires, the floor is yours.
Hi, thanks a lot, first of all, having me here. It's been some time. Also, I did something like this, but I'm anyway really happy that I could make it. And thanks a lot for the organizing committee for inviting me. So without, wasting any time, let's get started, right? So today we are going to talk about several topics, but as you probably know, I do things a little bit differently. So let's get started. First of all, we are going to talk about how to make a better CV, let's say, and also getting your LinkedIn profile visible to all the recruiters. Maybe you will have some chance in the future to get into a really good company, or even start something on your own. And later I will give a little bit of tips on how you can get your so-called soft skills improved. So as mentioned, I am Praneeth. Maybe you know me, maybe you don't, but you can also go to my LinkedIn and drop me a message if you have any questions. Even after the sessions, I'm more than happy to help anyone who is getting in touch. And the reason I also put my LinkedIn profile here is because this is also important into the upcoming session we are going to have about LinkedIn. So just take a note what will be here. I will also explain how you can do to improve yours. As also mentioned, most of the things that I talk almost all the sessions, online sessions, or even in person, I post here. So take a look. Talking about CVs. The things I will not discuss, because that will be easy to start with. I will not talk about which template you should use because it's not really an important point to getting started with a CV. Then I will not talk about which color scheme is better, because that's not also not relevant. Also, I will not talk about which tool is to use to create a CV. If you can use Fig, Canva, Photoshop, anything, it's up to you. And I did an extensive video there. So take a look. I will not talk about anything that's already mentioned because that's not fun. Many people think different things about what is a CV, what a CV is, but I found something which I wrote 9 years ago. So as you can see, the date is 2015, almost very close to 9 years. And I mentioned there, being very less experienced in the industry, I have written, and I will quote, many of you think that a CV is a list of your achievements, even though, oh, there's a typo, not seeing after 9 years, it should contain your achievements. It's not. As I see, your CV should be able to reflect who you are. It should be able to represent you, especially when you are not around. That's what it actually do. So the summary is that the reason I mention this, people tend to put everything they have done in their entire lives into a piece of paper, which is sad. Also, which is not good. So you might think, yeah, it's easy for you to say you are a software engineering lead in I don't know, whatever the company. Must be easy for you to say that. But I was also not that experienced a few years ago. So here is my CV when I was in uni. And I don't know why I did that. But of course, people have to start somewhere. And this is where I started. I know it looks ugly. I even put my O-level results and a bunch of other stuff. And as you can see, it has even 3 pages. Nobody has time to read this. I have no idea what I was doing. And then I made this. Let's say use a different tool. First, you could see it was made using. Oh, do I have a message? Okay, so I get a lot of messages. I will answer them later. I used Word before. Now this was, I think, again, Microsoft Word. But I also made a lot of mistakes. You can already see the title, so-called the profile description I had. So I will try to read this in much profound voice as possible. Achieve excellence through dedicated work as a dynamic role player in all the phases of software development lifecycle in my best ability, and also to make myself to a higher morally and a financially stable state. Reading this after 9 years makes me puke. Why? It doesn't say anything. Like, what does it even mean? Like, I know, because the reason I put this is I've been reviewing CVs for ages now, and I've been doing interviews also for, I think, more than 6 years. I see this everywhere. People write this profile description as like they are coming from a different world, like very high level. It doesn't give anything. So I did the same 9 years ago. This is bad. Make it a bit more personal. Okay, I didn't stop there. I went on editing my CV. So this is, I think, still 2014 somewhere when I had a nicer picture to put on my CV. It is not that nice anyway. And this is the other CV I made, which actually got me into Germany. So this CV I published. I also applied to different companies. This is still not the best. Still not the best. The font sizes, font colors, not the brightest, but it got me into this company that I'm working on as a software engineer, which I'm a software engineering lead now, which is okay. But as you can already see, it's very cramped. It has a lot of details and a lot of projects, a lot of I don't know, extracurricular stuff. I put everything I could, but still way better than the previous one. And after also writing a very nice cover letter, I got into Germany, a German company. And then I also wrote an article about it back in the days. It's still, I think, 7 years before, or is it 7? 6 years ago. I wrote an article, how I made my CV properly and also faced all the interviews. So looking back, after all these years, after all the experience I had, I remade my CV. This is how it looks now. I know this is like one of the more nice pictures I use everywhere, so that's why you see my face there. But I consolidate everything in my 10, 11 years of experience into 2 pages. So you can see nothing much, very simple. By the way, I'm not saying this is the best CV ever, which is not. This is just to give an idea on how highlight or summarized your CV should be. um, and there are many things I learned over the years, so I will explain or give some tips on the things that you should pay attention to, meanwhile answering all your questions as well. So how did I come from here to here? Let's see. First, there is no whatsoever secret formula to make a CV. Many people, even including myself, thought, this is the way to make a CV. And I've been explaining to people, I've been writing on articles, even in my channel. But then I realized, even when I make this presentation, there is no such thing. There is no such formula that I can tell you, this is how you should make a CV. So hold your questions. Think what I'm gonna say next. Your CV should represent you, not anyone else, you. So that means what works for me will not work for you. Maybe it will, maybe it will not. Who knows? You have to try it. But there is no secret formula in making a CV. That's why I mentioned it doesn't matter which template you're using. It does not matter which tool you're using or color palette, whether you have a profile picture on your CV or not, whether you have put, I don't know, whatever, 2 columns, 1 columns, it doesn't really matter. There is no such a thing. So you have to represent you. That's why you have to put your own effort into making your CV. I've seen many people use a template, which is also not the bad, like worst thing in the world. But as I mentioned, a CV is a representation of you. If you just use a template, maybe you steal it from someone else, or maybe you are a friend or whatever, and you keep on editing and insert your details, it's not you. You just write your details on somebody else's personality. And after reviewing or interviewing hundreds of people over the years, I see that whenever somebody uses a template, I immediately know this is coming from a CV template. So, and I'm pretty sure whomever interviewing you have more experience than me will do the same. They know if you actually have put some effort into making your CV or not. So please put some effort, spend some time, days, weeks, even a month, make a CV that represent you and not your friend or anyone speaking online or an article or whatnot. So maybe you can ask a freelancer to make a CV, but again, it's not you. And in that case, many people are also afraid maybe if this CV goes through an ATS, so-called automated talent acquisition system, or CV tracking systems, or whatever you call. So whenever you send a CV to someone, the companies usually put this into the system and they get a score, right? So then people would like to have a higher score as much as possible, so you will get shortlisted, right? That's why you should have a proper CV. However, also when I take a look back and step back and think, it doesn't really matter, right? If you are applying for a position or job or a company or whatnot, which puts your CV into one of these systems and get a score to evaluate you. And only on that score, they are going to reject you. Trust me, you are better off from that company. Which means 2 things. One, maybe you don't really have enough skills. then you probably should like up your game. Second thing, that position has hundreds and thousands of applicants. So that's why I mentioned maybe you are not really qualified. I mean, maybe you don't have the edge to take up this position. And this company don't really care like applying. They don't have the enough decency to go through the CV and then evaluate personally, because I don't know. I've been working with all these systems as well. No system in this world yet can evaluate a CV as a human do. No, nothing. All the AI and whatever thing, nothing can do that. So if you want to make your CV to get a better score at whatever the online tools or the system, go for it, no problem. But then you are losing your personality out of the CV. So this is just my personal opinion. So don't take it 100% as the truth. Take it with a grain of salt. My opinion is that it shouldn't really matter. Of course, it doesn't mean that you go bonkers and then make a really ugly CV. That also doesn't mean that. But pay attention to the details and to represent yourself, but not to get a higher score, because that doesn't really make sense at the end. So spend time, make your CV as if it's you. And I know there are many people in this world who has this thing called OCD, so obsessive compulsive disorder, who can see even the tiniest changes in alignments, misalignments, and whatnot. Even the people who don't have this OCD can detect these kind of things. Don't do this. This is horrible. Please align your CV. Like, just spend some time, give it to your friend and ask, hey, do you see some problems with this one? I don't know why people think this is not a big problem, but it is. Trust me, it annoys me a lot. I know for sure there are a lot of other CV reviewers in my company and whomever I worked with so far still find this a problem. Align your content, please. Maybe the worst thing, I've seen this, like people applying for UI UX designer roles, web designer roles, web developers still have this issue. How do you call yourself creative or attention to detail in your CV itself, which looks like this? It looks horrible. Same. Why people do this? So the third tip that I have to give you is, please put your alignments, like get your alignments correct. It annoys the person who's reviewing your CV, and also it gives less value to your personality, because it looks that you don't really put enough effort into making your CV, which is not really good when you apply for something. So please make your alignments properly. Then this is also a very important topic: what to put and what not to put. My take here is, don't put anything that's not relevant to this job that you're applying. Remove any sensitive data that you have. So what are sensitive data and what are irrelevant data? So these are the things that you should not ideally put in a CV, or in that matter anywhere. But we live in a digital world, so of course, it's very hard to hide your information anyway. But at least try to hide it from a CV that you are applying for thousands and thousands of companies, which also they share the CVs across companies. So many people will know your information. Full name, nobody cares. You are whatever, Arachige and whatnot, nobody cares. And also you should not give this information, because this is a sensitive information. Anybody knows your full data, can derive your, passport information or your bank accounts, anything. So don't do this. Put your normal, familiar name, we call it. So the name that people call you, not the full entire thing with, 5 or 6 names. Address, also don't do that, because again, sensitive information. But if you really need to tell where you live, I don't know, maybe in Colombo 7 or whatever, just put the city name. then people know where you are located, and it's easy if you are applying for a remote job or to calculate the commute, whether you have to travel for work or anything. But don't put the full address. It's not really good. Date of birth, nobody cares. I also used to think this is important, at least to put the age, but in this current I don't know, uh, hiring world, people should not put their date of birth, because this is also used for many of the verifications. At least here, people ask your name and your date of birth and also address, and then they can actually steal a lot of information from you. So please don't share this. And if you think maybe it's important that they should know I am whatever the age, that then you're probably not applying for a good job. The age should not really matter. So don't bother putting date of birth or age. But of course, this is up to you. This is just my recommendation, and you can do as you please. Again, NIC or passport number. I mean, if you have an NIC, I've seen people adding your national identity card number. I don't know why they do that, but some people do. So my recommendation is don't. This is also important. You probably will also add personal referees, like people who vouch for you in your CV. Don't add their personal addresses. Sometimes you can add their work addresses, because in case they want to really post, but I don't think anybody really cares at this age, right? I mean, everybody sends emails and maybe even give a phone call, but not really a postcard. So I don't think it's important to add the addresses anyway. A photo is totally up to you. If you want to add your photo, you can. If you don't, it's also fine. I see it's good to add a photo, in my opinion, because then it kind of creates an impression, like first impression. When I look at a CV, if I see a person's face, it helps me to connect with the person, better. But if you don't think that you don't have good photos, it's also fine. Just don't put it at all. But even when you put photos, please don't post whatever you're posting on Instagram. A CV is not your social media. Put a professional photo that people can really recognize who you are. Not nothing with doing these things. So a professional photo, yeah. And then irrelevant data, as I mentioned, age not really important. Unless you are, I don't know, 60, then you only have 5 years to work. I think at least in Germany, that's the retiring age. Otherwise, that doesn't make sense. Also, maybe if you are, how to say, younger than 18, which is also not, I think, legal to work. Anyway, it depends on the country. But my point is, it doesn't matter. If you go for a job and they want to know your age, which is also not good. And there are also, depending on the country, there are also different regulations that what you should or should not put, and also what the companies can ask or cannot ask from an employee. For example, in Germany, if not explicitly mentioned, we cannot ask a gender of a person. In all the all multi-gender thing going on in the world, so that's there. And there is one important thing as well. If you are a female and if you are applying for a job, the employer cannot ask if you are married or if you are pregnant. I'm probably not sure. I don't think that you will put that you are pregnant in your CV, but they cannot ask. So my whole point is, do not put information that you don't want to share. They cannot ask this information, so you should not also give as well. And of course, this also depends on the country, right? So again, because you should not really put whether you are married or not, because this is not a proposal marriage, right? So it's not relevant. And the fifth point I want to talk is, every word that you put in your CV counts. Imagine that you have to pay $1 for every word that you put in your CV. So you have to maximize your value that you are getting out of the words that you put, but also minimize the cost that you have to pay. This is called a traditional knapsack problem. If you want to know, or if you are into algorithms, it's a knapsack problem, dynamic programming. Why do I mean this? Remove any of the unnecessary words. Do not let this person who's reviewing your CV get bored because we review a lot of CVs per day, and it's very boring if people has like essays of what they did. Nobody cares. I will tell this phrase a lot. Nobody cares, because it's true. Nobody really cares about what we do unless that's really, really important. So that will be the motto of this session. Actually, nobody really cares, but how can I make them care? So whatever we put in our CVs has to be really good, and they will stop for a while and then really read it, because in average people will only spend maximum maybe 1 minute to read your CV when they actually screen, in the screening call. At least if you get an interview, maybe they will look a bit more, but a CV reviewer, or I say during the screening process, one will only spend 1 minute or maximum 2 minutes to read your CV, because we get a lot of CVs to review and we don't have all the time in our world. And also we have a full-time job, so we have to do that as well. So we can't really see the reviews the entire day. So make every word count. And one thing to do is always ask yourself, do I really, really need to add this in my CV? So, for example, including myself, all level results. Do you really need that? You were a prefect in your school. You were, I don't know, whatever. And you also, yeah. And you won the 8th grade dancing competition. You write clean code, which is also expected from a software engineer anyway. You know how to work with Jira, or I don't know, whatever other tool. You know Visual Studio Code and Visual Studio, which is also somewhat a necessary thing when you write code. And also problem solving skills. I will also talk about the soft skills, so cool, later on. And also you did code reviews, which is also expected from a software engineer anyway. See, the thing is, nobody cares. So this is a nice meme I also created a few years ago. I don't know if you know memes, but these are like the old memes. Nobody cares meme. You have 10 A's in your O level. It's not really important. And also, if this is your only qualification, maybe that's important. But then we have a different problem to solve. If your highest achievement is actually 10 A's in O level, which is not also a hard exam to do anyway. So what things we should ideally put then? Let's start with the negative stuff. So maybe you do a lot of projects. Please don't mention everything because it's not important. I know I've seen people also put the group projects they do in the university, which is also, it's fine, because maybe during your studies you don't have a lot of time to work on different projects or personal projects. Maybe it's fine. You can add your projects you do at the university or whatever the education institute you are studying. It's okay. But please don't put all the projects you ever did. This is one mistake I also did. I made a 3-page CV because I thought it's cool to put all the projects I do, and which I did, like, I don't know what, tens of projects when I was in uni, but it's not relevant. The simple script you write to scrape web and send an alert to, I don't know, Discord, no, it's not, I would say, really a good project. So try to focus on the good projects you do. If you don't have projects, it's fine. Then mention what you have, but try not to overwhelm the CV with everything you did. So as I mentioned, ask yourself, do you really need to put this in your CV? And don't write paragraphs and paragraphs about your project, because people don't have time to read all the stuff that you put on your CV anyway. And just try to highlight it. And maybe if you cannot highlight what your project do, or what your project does in maybe 1 or 2 sentences, you are not really good in communication skills. So probably spend more time and ask people and rewrite your project descriptions in a very simple way that anybody can understand. And also your cool project, if you write, like, I don't know, 10 lines, nobody will read anyway. What's important is that you add the technology or technologies you used for the project, and your responsibilities. I will also explain this in the to-do section. As I mentioned, nobody cares. Just put a summary of what it does. So, for example, let's say that you did a POS system or point of sale system for a grocery shop, and everybody in this world, at least I hope, whomever in the software engineering industry knows what a POS system is. You don't have to explain what a point of sales system is or an inventory management system is. Everybody knows that. You don't have to explain. And highlight the tech stack or the technologies you did, and especially your contribution. What did you do? Maybe it's a huge system, but of course we know you don't have all the time in the world to write everything in this system. So explain your contributions. And this is also important. Also, I'm guilty of this one when I was in uni. Do not put all the technologies you ever tried. I know some people, for a small project, you write a Python script or maybe JavaScript and you put in the CV, I'm good with JavaScript. Maybe you are not, because the CV is not a place where you show off, but rather show your skills. So trying a technology does not make you an expert. If you at least did maybe have done one project, it's okay. But just trying a technology for one time and writing a script or a small program does not make you an expert. And why I'm saying this is, let's say that you apply for a Java position and you have tried Java for a week for a university project, and you apply for this position and you get an interview, and I look at the CV, this person knows Java, so let me ask a Java question, and you are done, because you don't know how to answer, and then you will fail the interview. It's such a waste of your time and also the interviewer's time. Don't do that, and they will hate you for it, and you will never get any of the interviews from the same company again. So you are also damaging yourself rather than actually you're trying to impress other people. So don't do that. So yeah, that's the question that I also want everybody to ask. Do you really know it, or you know about it? So do you really know Java, or you know about Java? So just think about it. And then maybe it's a good self-reflection. How would you rate yourself in a different set of skills as well? And I've also seen many people also do that. They put, I don't know, bar charts, percentages about the skills they have. I've seen this many times, mostly because they are in the very famous CV templates. So what do you mean by 95% of React.js? I don't know what it means. Maybe you do. So I would really like people to rate themselves as they see themselves, not in 95. What is then 100% of JavaScript? Like you wrote JavaScript library itself? So React.js itself? I don't think so. I would mostly recommend to go in a direction where you rate yourself in these levels, like we call it the Likert scale. So you think you are a beginner, you think you are an intermediate, or you are in the advanced level. So not the advanced level like A levels, but in the level of being an advanced in this particular technology. So if you think you only tried Java for 1 week, maybe you are a beginner. Maybe you are intermediate if you did actually a project, or you know how to work around this technology. You are advanced, maybe you can you memorize all the functions and class names in this particular framework. So don't put ratings in your skills. It sounds very childish, And very, very important things. Please learn the difference between certificates and certifications. These are two different things. Udemy courses are not certifications. These are certificates which nobody really cares. Why do I say that? I've seen many people put all the certificates on Udemy or Skillshare or Coursera. They put them in their CV, but they are not recognized anywhere. Anybody can do a Udemy course. You just play the course and then do nothing, or you just watch it all over again and you will still learn nothing. It's not really important. You have to do stuff to learn things, and that's where you will put this particular skill in your CV using projects that you did and also as an expertise you have, not using Udemy courses. And just imagine, I also, let's say, did a JavaScript course. It doesn't say anything. Anybody can watch courses. So, and also, it's also very important how you word it. If you put Udemy certificates as certifications in your CV, I immediately think you are not good enough because you don't know the difference between certificates and certifications. What are then certifications? Certifications are given by a professionally well recognized entity to assess your skills using a certain process. So, what are the examples? So, for instance, for technology, at least I know, AWS cloud engineer or cloud practitioner, also Google data engineer. So they have a curriculum. You have to study for it. You have to do some certain projects to do that, and you have to write an exam to get the certification, and then you have to get really high marks. Have to pass the exam with really high marks to get the certification, and you will get a so-called, we call them a credential, which is your unique token, also using blockchain technology that nobody can change this. So once you get a certification, you get it like forever, not forever, but you truly get it. So that's the difference. If you follow a Udemy course and it has a quiz at the end and you pass it, it doesn't mean anything. So don't waste space on your CV by putting these ones. If you really want to mention that you know a certain technology, put it in your skills, not as a certification. And don't write generic descriptions for anything. So I've seen the profile section, as I mentioned, people just say, I really want to improve my skills and contribute into my maximum capability to the company goals, which is ideally what an employee do. I don't know why people do that. And also, where in during your whatever the job positions or maybe even volunteering into this kind of events, you put very general things like, I help to organize events. Meh, I mean, it's good, but everybody can do that. So you have to mention why you are special. What did you do special? What did you do that other people didn't do? So that's where you stand out. As I mentioned, CV is a portrait of you and you only. So you have to mention in a like a special way that it gives recognition for you and not in a very generic way. So one example I've seen many times, like over the years, is people mention in their developer roles, they wrote clean code and reviewed other people's code. Which is actually part of their jobs anyway. You have to write clean code, otherwise you will get fired, and you have to review other people's code. That's how teams work, like development teams work. That's an expectation. What did you do special? Maybe you wrote some guidelines to review code. Maybe you implemented a framework where people can evaluate if they're writing clean code or not. These are the special things, not writing clean code, because it's as if that you are applying for, I don't know, Olympics in a 100 meters sprint, and you mention in the qualification that you can run. Of course, everybody can run. And you are applying for an essay competition and you mentioned that you know the alphabet. Doesn't make sense. So mention what's special about you, not the boring stuff. And this is also one thing that I've seen in different terms. Some people say they work closely with team members, or some people say, I'm a team player. Yes, when you work in a company, when you work in a team, you have to be a team player. Otherwise, you can't really work well. So then you have to know how to word this. Maybe you did something for the team. Then maybe you implemented certain frameworks or I don't know, processes that to help increase the team engagement. That can be a case. So mention these kind of things, not the generic stuff. What do you need to add? Add your LinkedIn profile, which we also will talk in a while. Add the link to the LinkedIn profile, GitHub profile link. I don't know. I think people should know in this call what GitHub is. And it's also very important to showcase who you really are in terms of your developer skills. You can say that you know X, Y, Z technologies, but if you have never done any project while you have free time, then there's a different problem. People will think you just don't really want to learn anything. But of course, not everybody wants to do this, so it's fine if you don't have a GitHub repo or GitHub profile, it's okay. But I highly, highly recommend for anyone following a software engineering or computer science or even data science, any type of these kind of technical courses or degree programs, please create a GitHub profile and write whatever the small scripts you write daily, like could be an automate something or create CSV files or whatever. Put those code in your GitHub profile, and then everybody can see what type of code you actually write, the coding standards and so on. That will be really helpful. And if you have a blog, please put the link as well. If you don't have a blog, that's sad, because I think this world runs in when people actually share their knowledge. If people don't want to share their knowledge, nobody will improve, nobody will learn anything. So everything that you see on the internet, there are some sort of knowledge sharing. Documentation could be libraries and whatever. Everything is out there because some person down in a corner of a room or in a basement thought, you know what? I should share this with the other people so they can also learn. So if I see that someone has a blog, it immediately improves my impression on them because I know for sure this person likes to share their knowledge, and it will be a good opportunity for me to hire this person because I know they will really work in a team, share the knowledge, work with people, because that shows their passion. So if you have a blog, put the link, and it doesn't really matter if it's Medium, WordPress, or Blogger. It doesn't really matter. You have write something anywhere, even on a piece of paper. No, not on a piece of paper. If you don't have a blog, I highly recommend you starting one. Write whatever you have on your mind. Is a good way of expressing yourself. If you are active on Stack Overflow, put the link as well. I know many people use Stack Overflow just to read the answers, or maybe once in a while to ask some questions. But you know what? There's a different superpower when you actually answer questions. It's not that hard. You spend like maybe 1 hour there and then try to answer very basic questions. You will still get a lot of motivation out of that. So if you have a Stack Overflow profile, also put that. If you don't, that's sad. And mention your career-related achievements and milestones. Maybe you, as I mentioned before, you got a certification or you won some awards or you went to a hackathon and then won something. Even participation for these kind of hackathons, at least at your age, I hope these are mostly undergraduates, still important than doing nothing. And your interest related to your career. It's fine, as I mentioned, it should be your personal portrait when you are not around. But when you apply for a software engineering job, you are, you like to do hip hop dancing, probably that doesn't really add any value. So it goes back to the previous point I mentioned. Be careful when you add something to your CV and ask yourself, do I really, really need to put this in my CV, and will it add value to my profile? If not, just don't add it. And please make it really concise. Don't write essays. Nobody has time to read these. On point, be on point. This is what I tell many people as well. This is also different personalities. I'm someone who likes to go on point when I talk with people. I write an email or I go on Zoom calls or whatever, because I want things to be on point, because I don't have time to spend hours and hours reading things. Same goes for a CV. When I see someone explain their experience, I don't know, paragraphs and paragraphs, I immediately think this person don't have enough skills to explain what they do in very simple terms. This is just me. As I mentioned, this is my personal perspective, might be wrong, but so take it with a grain of salt again. But I hope that it actually helps. Then let's talk about soft skills. What type of soft skills that people should in CVs? What are actually soft skills? This is very tricky because I've seen people add a lot of soft skills in their CVs which are not even relevant and not even they don't even make sense, such as problem solving and critical things. I always ask people, why do you put this in your CV? How do you prove that you have problem solving and critical thinking? And how can I evaluate just by looking at your CV? Because anybody can put that. I mean, anyone can say that they are good at problem solving. I need proof. Prove me that you are good at problem solving and critical thinking. How? Maybe you have a Stack Overflow account where you answer people's questions, maybe tough questions, and you solve them. Maybe you have projects that you try to solve a problem in this world, or maybe tackled one of the hardest technical problems. It can even be a simple one, like as I mentioned, POS system. Then I know that you can actually solve problems. Putting this in a CV doesn't make sense because it doesn't say anything. Maybe you put playing chess, playing games in your interest, maybe it gives a little bit of weight, but still putting problem solving and critical thinking in your CV doesn't make any sense because I don't know you and I can evaluate these things in an interview, right? Then why do you even put this in a CV? Teamwork and collaboration because it's expected from a person anyway. You can't go to a company or maybe even you start your own company and work alone. That doesn't work because at some point you have to talk to people. So putting teamwork and collaboration in a CV doesn't add any value because you can't prove it on a CV. Maybe if you add projects like group projects in your project section in a CV and you mentioned that you were a group leader or maybe you were playing this part in a group project that you had this type of responsibilities, then I know, okay, this person actually can do teamwork. They know how to collaborate. But putting this as a soft skill doesn't really say anything. And communication skills. I don't know. This is very overrated. People say that they are good at communication skills, but they still cannot summarize one of the projects they did in a simple terms. Tough luck. Because communication skills are also measured when you actually talk to a person and reading their work. If I see the CV and they put communication skills as a skill, that's actually a red flag for me because it means they really want to highlight something that they are not good at. If they are really good at communication skills, their CV would be precise, on point, and if they have an email as a cover letter or anything, it will be also crisp. No, boasting and so on point. And also, if I go into an interview with this person, I would immediately know if this person actually has the so-called proclaimed communication skills. So adding this in a CV doesn't really make sense. Adaptability. Adaptability, it means that you can, adapt to new technologies or new processes and whatnot, which you actually have to do. Otherwise, you will lose your job because at least in the technology world, software engineering world, not necessarily programming, but anything, business analyst, QA, or anyone, you have to be able to adapt to new things. Otherwise, you will lose your job. So putting this, as I mentioned, is there's actually a requirement you're putting in a CV, actually, you're wasting space. Perform well under pressure. I don't know why. I don't know. This is a different problem. I don't know who actually performs well under pressure. Maybe you have a better, I don't know, pressure or stress management skills. then that can be a soft skill. I don't know. But who wants people that performs well? And I don't know. Pressure is, I always call like everybody should have some sort of pressure. It ideally should be positive pressure that we thrive. It makes us do good things. It makes us do better. But performing under pressure means that you are putting in a very bad situation. Whatever the companies do, I will still do it. Don't worry. You don't pay me, it's fine. I will still do it. You tell me a project that needs to be delivered tomorrow. Don't worry. I will stay overnight and do it. No, we don't. We need people like that. I know when I say we don't need people like that, I'm talking about these European countries at least. I used to work in Sri Lanka, which had a different, let's say, expectations from companies towards the employees, which is also sad. However, I don't think this adds any value. Rather, on the contrary, it gives a negative impression on you that you are fine working under pressure. But if you have constant pressure from a company, probably you are working in a wrong company. Creativity, again, we can't measure. And you say creative and your CV says otherwise. You have misalignments. You don't know how to present yourself. Tough luck. Active listening. Oh God, I don't know why people even try. And you might think that I came up with these kind of things. No, there are people actually living in this world who put this stuff in their CVs. That's why these are not like random words I found. These are the things actually I've seen on CVs. Decision making. Yeah, right. But I think you get the point. Leadership, same thing. What does it even mean? You have to prove yourself. Put it from your experience. Maybe the people who actually participated here, maybe organized this event, they actually have these kind of skills. Otherwise, I mean, we can't do it, right? So they can give examples on how they led a team to do a project, how they made decisions on this kind of volunteering or any kind of projects they do. That's a good opportunity. That's why I also encourage people to do volunteering, because it also makes you happy, but also it gives a lot of skills that we will talk in the other session in a few minutes, that a normal job or studies or any degree cannot give you. So these are important, but I don't think they are worth mentioning in a CV. I don't know, because it doesn't make sense, at least for me. But if you um, disagree, feel free to drop a message in the Zoom saying what are your thoughts. I would also like to hear. Then finally, please get your CV reviewed. Why? Because you might think you have the best ever CV in the world, but it's not. It's called the creator's biasness, which means when you create something, you are biased in two extremes. Either you think it's not good when actually it is good, and the other way around, you build something you think it's really, really good, but it's actually not. One example is maybe you draw, like as a painter or artist. When you draw something, because you've been drawing it for so long, you think it's bad. But when you actually show it to someone, you will definitely realize, no, it's actually good. When you hear people's feedback, you know it's good. And the other way around as well, people think they're doing a good job, but maybe actually it's not. So it's always advised to get feedback from your friends, your family, or anyone that has some experience in this domain. So if you have a CV, you create one. Don't go straight and apply for companies. Ask your friends or your lecturers or anyone. We have a platform in our Discord server, a little bit of personal marketing here. If you like to join, post your CV, and people, there is a community, they will review your CV. So in case you are interested. So these are my tips. So all the resources I mentioned are actually in here. I guess I will share these slides later so everybody can take a look at it. But these are some important things also from me that I found. Maybe if I find some other links. I will also share it. In summary, to reiterate what I said, a CV should be a reflection of your profile, not someone else's, not even mine. So don't look at my CV and then say, hey, um, I think I should make a CV like Praneeth. No, don't do that. Be your own, have your own CV. And then don't be afraid to show creativity, but make sure that you present yourself nicely. So at least this is for the tips that I can give making a CV. I know it's not the most descriptive, informative session you might have thought, but I think these are very important if you really want to nail your CV and get an opportunity. So that's it for this part. I think I actually went a little bit overboard, but there you go.
Thank you for your engaging presentation and for generously sharing your knowledge with us. We are eagerly looking forward to delve deeper into the world of CV elevation. As we gear up for the next segment, I've got some thrilling news to share. Get ready to mark your calendars and set your reminders because our most awaited physical event is happening on May 11th at the Sleep Premises Malawi. Brace yourselves for an unforgettable experience. Get ready for an exciting lineup. First, we've got How to Face an Interview, where you'll master the art of nailing job interviews, and also you'll learn how to craft a standard resume. Finally, our panel discussion with industry experts will offer priceless insights. Attention, everyone, the session is not over yet. We have another exciting part coming up. Following the quiz session, we'll delve into the insightful discussion with Mr. Praneeth Piris about LinkedIn. Stay tuned for valuable tips and strategies to enhance your LinkedIn presence. So do not forget to mark your calendars for May 11th, spread the word, and get ready to unlock your full potential at our upcoming physical event. Trust us, you won't want to miss this. Stay tuned for more updates through our delegates WhatsApp group and stay connected through our social media platforms. All right, folks. It's time to keep things engaging with a rapid quiz. But don't worry, this isn't your typical quiz. We are using Mentimeter that lets you participate in real time. So grab your smartphones and get ready to scan the QR code that is displayed on the screen or enter the given code. Once you're in, you'll have a blast answering some fun and challenging questions. Remember, this quiz is all about having fun and staying engaged. So don't be shy. Let's see who comes on top as the ultimate quiz champion. Get ready, get set, and let's quiz. Please join this quiz by scanning the QR code which is displayed on the screen or by entering the code by visiting this website. Okay, we are going to start our quiz. So the first question, so we can see that we have 200 and the number of players are already increasing. Okay, the quiz is about to start. So the first question is, what is the best definition of a career? First answer, a bunch of jobs a person had, a list of education and skills, you stay in the same type of work, a summary of work experiences. So there's a limited time. Answer this question. Okay, so most of them have answered the question correctly. It's a summary of work experiences. So let's see the leaderboard, who is in the top. Yes, so we can see that Lakshita Chandrakanta is, Croc is the fastest answer here for the first question. So let's see who will win the next time. Okay, it will be the question 2. Positions a person has held throughout the career are typically referred to as a job, task, career, none of the above. So quickly answer the question to lead the leaderboard. The time ends. So the correct answer is job. Let's see who is leading in the leaderboard. This time the leaderboard is led by Reshin. So the leadership has gone to someone else this time. Let's see the next question. So it will be the question 3 of 6. Be fast so that you can get more points. So the next question is, which domain has a purpose? I want to get married. So is it a career purpose thing, educational, personal, or time? Answer it quickly to lead it. So the correct answer is personal. Most of you have answered it correctly. So let's see who have answered it fast. So this time it's led by first place is still led by Tilanka, who has given the fastest answer. Next, we'll move on to the question 4. Answer it fast so that you can score more and lead the board. Which of the following is a career development strategy? Answers are collecting stamps as a hobby, writing a daily journal, creating a 5-year career plan, attending a fitness class. So there are 5 seconds more. Answer it quickly. So the correct answer is creating a 5-year career plan. Most of you have answered it correct. So we'll see whom the first place will be. This time, Ribbit has been the first in the leaderboard. So let's move on to the 5th question. How can individuals achieve work-life balance? Answer it quickly. So the answers are by working longer hours, by avoiding social gatherings, by prioritizing personal and professional responsibilities, by focusing solely on their careers. Time is limited. Answer is quickly. So the answer will be by prioritizing personal and professional responsibilities. Most of you have answered it correct. We'll see who is the fastest. So the fastest is once again Ribbit. So this time Ribbit is leading the leaderboard many times. So it will be the last question, 6th one. Once again, answer it fast. On LinkedIn, your profile must closely resembles a dating profile, photo gallery, resume, digital scrapbook. So answer it quickly to lead it. So the answer is a resume. Most of you have answered it correctly. And let's see this time who is the first. So once again, it's Rebit who won the interactive quiz session on this today's online event. So round of applause, Rebit, for being the fastest answer. It was an enthusiastic response to our rapid quiz. Thank you to everyone who participated and made it such a fun and engaging experience. Your active involvement truly adds to the vibrancy of our event. Now let's keep the momentum going as we dive into the next segment of our session. I'd like to extend a warm invitation to our esteemed speaker to continue enlightening us with invaluable insights on LinkedIn. Without further ado, let's hand the virtual stage back to Mr. Praneeth Piris for the continuation of this enlightening discussion.
Thank you again. So I think you had a little bit of a break and a fun session during the quiz as well, which perfectly paves into our next session. The last question perfectly tallies. What would your LinkedIn profile look like? Let's see. Some people wonder, they have created a LinkedIn profile, put some stuff there, and then let it idle for quite some time, and then they wonder why didn't they have any of the jobs they apply. So I know I'm a fan. So this is a meme I've also found. It also perfectly explains the situation. They apply so hard, but they don't get jobs. Why? Going back to the initial screenshot I had in the beginning of the presentation, let's try to decode how you can make a nice LinkedIn profile, which can ultimately help you to get a better, just say, job. But that's not the important part, that you get a lot of recognition in the tech community or any of the job profession you are in. So here is what I did. Take a nice picture. This is a little bit old, maybe 2-3 years old, but this is one of the good pictures I have, so it's fine. Take a nice picture and put it as the profile photo because it explains what type of person you are. Again, same as a CV. Don't put any stuff, fancy stuff where you were going to a party or I don't know, whatever. It's not really. Don't put a photo that is not professional. How do you call a professional? That should show your professional side. It's fine. Maybe you are going on a hike or are not going on a trip, but not so, people that don't really want to see that side of you. And a cover photo, it's fine. You can put it or not. It's optional. I don't have a nice cover photo. I recently changed it. It's something I got it from unsplash.com, which was free. Ideally, I previously had one where when I was in Sri Lanka, I did a lot of sessions like workshops, classes, and so on. I had one of the photos, but my face, changed a little bit after that, spending 6 years here. So I didn't put it that. I put that photo here, so you can choose any photo. It's fine. It's nothing really important, but a photo, I think it's a little bit important to show who you really are. Your name, as I mentioned, the common name, not your entire Arab Arachige, that not thing. Just your common name. I also used to have my not the entire name. I have one middle name. I also used to have that in my LinkedIn profile, but then I realized again nobody really cares. Then the highlight, this is very important. This line or 2 lines shows who you really, really are. So try to make it crisp, not the entire essay that you write about yourself, just something like, I do my best to achieve the best in this life and I don't know, whatever. That's really not nice. Try to put something that resonates with you, your values in your life, and what you really want to do. So I put the highlight me, software engineering lead, blogger, YouTuber, and tech enthusiast, because I think these things represent who I am. This is my job posting. like the title that I hold, because if anybody needs to get some kind of information, they know where I work. And then I also write blogs. I also do YouTube videos, and I'm really interested in tech. Then the current company or an institute that you work. So if you are working in a company, it's good to put the name of the company here. You can already search it on LinkedIn and then see. Search on LinkedIn and then try to find your company. Probably they should have a LinkedIn page and then put it there. And the university is not really important, but I think since you are mostly undergraduates here in this session, I think it's important to put the university that you go with. If you went to multiple universities, put the most important one or the most, let's say, significant one here. And any of the links that you have could be your website. If you have a portfolio, could be your YouTube channel, could be your blog, anything. Put all the links, relevant links in here. This is the title. I know we still have to put a lot of effort into making this one. The location is optional. It's when especially for me, let's say it's Düsseldorf, Germany, which means if I'm applying for a company or if somebody wants to reach out to me and connect with me, they know where I live, not the entire address, because I don't want people walking around my house, but where I live. And also increase your connections. Don't try to follow everyone. As you can see, I have around 9K people following me. That means they will see all the things that I share, but I am only have like 500 or maybe 600 connections, that the people I follow. So be a person that people want to hear from, not the other way around. Then how to decode your job experience. I'm only explaining from my personal profile. Maybe this is different from what you have, but it's very important to understand where to start and how do you present yourself. Company name is important. Get it right, because there can be some companies with the same name. So make sure that you have the correct company name when you add experiences. And then it's important, the current position. There is a way that you can add this in LinkedIn, and I will not explain it in this session because anybody can find it. If you do it right, you go to the website and then try to add this information. It's very easy to find because it's at the end of the day, it's just a portfolio, right? Anybody can use it. But the goal of this session is to show how to present certain information. So current position, I'm a backend software engineering lead for more than 2 years now. And this is my current position. And it also shows the date, time I started and currently where I am. And then it's also very important, the duration, of course, then they know how much experience I have. Also very important to put the highlight, because at least for me as an engineering lead, I have a lot of responsibilities, but the highlight is what I do daily. So I am an engineering manager or a responsibility lead for this particular company doing XYZ. So this is my highlight. Ideally for you, if you are a university student, it will be something like studying this in this university, in this city, majoring in these subjects. So that should be ideally your profile. But if you do a job, make sure that you write a summary on what you do. This is also not the best summary in the world. I think it works. And this is also very important, the responsibilities you have in this job. So in this job, I have a lot of responsibilities. So I also don't want to do put everything, but I would like to add certain also skills. I would also like to add certain achievements I had or something special I did. For example, working closely with internal and external teams to do the CDN migration and then this kind of infrastructure, and also GC migration. I led the project. So these kind of things is very important to stand out from other people. So put your responsibilities, like could be daily responsibilities and special achievements you got. Could be an award, could be any kind of recognition you got. Not everything, but somewhat what you are proud of, put it here. And then skills associated. For example, even though I'm a lead or a manager, I still do hands-on work. That means I write code, I do deployments and all those things. I do that almost every day. So I still have these skills associated to this particular job. So you can in LinkedIn earn skill badges. You can also just edit. I think previously we could get verified skill badges. Then you can associate them for different positions, like could be your job, could be your education, so anything. So make sure you have the skills entered already and associate them in the job or whatever the position you hold. And if you work for the same company with multiple um, 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 multiple roles, you can also add that. But before going to that, I also mentioned a little bit of achievements or special things I did here as a summary. As I also mentioned, like mentioned earlier in the presentation, there is no golden rule or a recipe that you can say wave a wand at the LinkedIn profile and make it somehow magically good. You can't do that. You have to spend time. You have to do this your way. There is no like a recipe of awesome LinkedIn profile. You have to do it as you please. If you have previous positions, just add the same thing. The technical skills you explicitly want to mention, you can also do that. For example, I mainly work with big data pipelines on cloud. So I say, okay, I have GCP experience, I have AWS, Apache Spark, Python, image processing, machine learning, and all those things. I separate them because we also have a lot of reorganizations happening in the company. So I also put the different teams I worked with only because these different teams actually gave me different types of experience in my career. So that's why I put that. You can also put those kind of things separately as well. Yeah, so that's how you put experience. In summary, put the company name and especially the current position. It's important. The duration, because they also should know how long have you been working. Very important. Your responsibilities. Just don't only put your job role and then do nothing. That doesn't really work. Put your responsibilities and some achievements. Then, how do you add projects? I have um, uh, a lot of projects, I think, but I also haven't added everything here as well. So make sure you add the projects you do in LinkedIn as well. As I mentioned in the CV section, ideally you should not put every project you did ever like in your since whatever years in your CV because it will take a lot of time. So ideally you should only get you only add the significance on your CV and probably everything in your LinkedIn or at least what you can present. So make sure you have put the name of your project, especially the link. You can say you did whatever the project and yeah, we have to believe you, right? You can say you did, I don't know, automated vehicle management system in somewhere and you don't have a link that I can see whether you actually did or not. Anybody can say they did stuff and without a proof. That's why I say put or publish things that you can actually prove that you did that. So give a link to your project. Maybe it's a university project. It's fine. Nobody is gonna steal your $1 million group project idea. So put it on GitHub and give the link. Or maybe have a small web page you can host on Vercel. There is this free, almost free platform. You can host your web apps. Put a landing page in there and then give the link and explain the project as simple as possible because people really don't know what you're working with. Maybe you have a lot of passion and you really want other people to know. But as I mentioned, nobody really cares about what your apps do except for the technologies that you use. So especially mentioned that which type of technologies you use to implement this particular project with the link with a small description. Then, whenever possible, get recommendations. What are recommendations? Recommendations mean if you have worked with someone, could be for a project, could be for a company, or maybe a freelancer job, get some recommendations. There are a lot of controversy here. Some people say you should only get recommendations like once in a while. Or some people say, hey, get recommendations as much as you want. There is a truth in both of the cases. You should get recommendations from people that are also significant, that you work very closely, and also add some value to your profile. If you have hundreds or I don't know, hundreds of recommendations on your profile, which also is not the ideal case. Maybe you are just showing off. Maybe you only have one or two recommendations. It can either mean from a CEO people, that might also give a lot of weight, but if they are like random two people working somewhere, also doesn't really add value. So make sure that you get recommendations from reputed people that can actually vouch for you. This is the same as the referees you put on your CV. The projects, the platform um, I mentioned earlier is called Vercel, Vercel, Vercel. So that's where you can publish your web apps. Recommendations part, there is no separate sections you can add your recommendations. You have to ask someone for a recommendation. So maybe it's not available to you at the moment. Just try it out, just Google it and how to go for recommendations. You can't just add your recommendations or go for a profile and add a recommendation. You have to ask someone in a message. There's a special place you can request that, request for a recommendation, and then they write, you can review, and then you approve. That's how you get it. So try to get some recommendations from reputed people, not from your friend. That doesn't do anything. And also awards. If you had any awards throughout your career or your studies, maybe you can add them. There are certain things I also achieve, but not everything. I don't add everything I do on LinkedIn as well. But something important, then I add. I think I didn't add any of the achievements I have when I got in Germany because, as I mentioned, the culture is a little bit different. In Sri Lanka, maybe if you want something or a hackathon, you have a higher reputation, but here no, because everybody do that. So it's not really special. So you really have to do something really special to get some recognition. So that's why I don't really have a lot of awards here as well. So it's not really worth mentioning. But of course, my YouTube channel, the app that I made, everything, I think they are kind of awards for myself from me. So that's why I post it. But from companies, I don't really do, because I also get some sort of recognition here, but in my company, but I don't do that. But if you have, you go to hackathons, you participate in competitions, please add them. Explain why you get that, what's the importance of the recognition and awards you got. And same way, if you do volunteering, add those things as well. You can be maybe in this session, you organize some sessions. Maybe you are, I don't know, maybe volunteering to a pet care orphanage. Can also be you like pets, you like dogs or cats, you go there and help. That's also fine. That's also volunteering experience. It's ideal if this matches to your career as well. But if not, it's still fine. Then people know that you like to volunteer. And then there is a section called featured. If you share something, you can pin them. Then anybody can go to your profile and then see what type of featured articles you have. So ideally, any blogs you wrote, maybe some documents you did, or in this case, I also shared that I got the Associate Cloud Engineer certification. So these kind of things I pinned. Whatever you are really, really proud of, you can add them. I see many people say, how to add projects to LinkedIn. Come on, just there is a section. Maybe you can't find it, but spend some time. You will find it. I can try to maybe show how I can do it maybe at the end of this session. So what to do and what not to do. So let's start with the negative stuff. Don't share memes or random stuff, because this is not social media. You might find something funny, but don't accidentally share everything on LinkedIn, because I hate this kind of people, because that is a professional network, not a place to share your memes. Maybe if it's related to programming or whatever, then it's still fine. But the news, if the politician is dead or something horrible going on in a country or with a person, no, just keep it professional, because it's a professional network. And Stay professional. Try to give recognition for people. Try to give encouragements. If somebody posts an achievement of theirs, just be humble and go there and congratulate them. Communicate with them. If you see someone else's article helpful, share it. It costs you nothing, but it will give visibility to the person you are sharing the, like the original article, the owner of that, and also for you to be an active member in the community, because they can also see from your profile if you are an active member or not. Don't add every possible skill, because Microsoft Office is not an important skill for a software engineer. I think it's a basic skill anyway, but if you add Microsoft Office, or I don't know, Visual Studio Code as one of your skills in your skills section and highlight it, that's sad. Also, don't share too much personal information, because nobody really care about, as I mentioned, your address or where you live or whether you got married or if you have a girlfriend, boyfriend. Nobody really cares in LinkedIn. At least they should not care, because it's a professional network. So stay professional. So write a compelling headline, as I mentioned. Give a gist of who you are to the community in the first glance. Don't be ambiguous or vague, as I mentioned. You want to achieve something good in life? No, I mean, everybody wants to do that, right? So try to be specific what you really want to do. So also generate a unique URL for your profile, then you can post it anywhere, because I see there are people have these random URLs. Then it's also very hard to look for them. So you have user 1 through 23 dash 1 to XYZ. Very hard. For me, it's easy. Praneeth Langapiris. You search on LinkedIn, you type on Google, my profile comes up, because that's my profile, and I can, even without remembering or explicitly the URL, I know my username, so I can tell anyone, hey, this is my username on LinkedIn. They can find me. So generate a unique URL. These things are somewhat hidden in the settings section, but spend some time. You will find it. Don't worry. You don't have to panic. If you can't find something, it's there. You just have to find it. So if you generate a URL, it's very easy to remember and also to share. And if you are looking for a job, there is an option called open for work. That means everybody who is a recruiter, or the community, depends on how you set it, can see if you are looking for a job. And if they are looking for people, and if the skills they are looking for matches your skills, then you will get a call, hopefully. So if you are looking for a job or an internship, mark as open for work. Go to your LinkedIn profile. Close to the profile picture, there should be a button called open to. So just go there and enable it. Then it will give a lot of visibility if you're looking for a job or looking for new challenges. And also share valuable content, maybe your own content. If you write blog posts, or if you create videos, or maybe you know someone who does that, so share them, which can add value to the community. And also, this is very important, place relevant keywords throughout your profile, which means whenever you do a project, try to highlight the technologies you did. If you know some framework, maybe you know a certain technology, add it in the project descriptions, or even your work experience. Because when someone searches from, let's say, Java engineers on LinkedIn, if you do your search ranking properly, you place keywords sneakily into your profile will come up, which gives you a higher chance of landing in an internship or even a job. So be smart. And also keep your profile up to date. This is something many people don't do. Many people think because the goal is to how to create a LinkedIn. Anybody can create a LinkedIn profile, even a monkey can do that. But that's not the point. The hardest thing is you create a LinkedIn profile and maintain it. You keep on updating your information, the projects you do, your skills. You have to keep on updating. I think you have to at least go once a week and then see, has anything changed? Did you learn something new? Did your experience change, or are you looking for a job? These kind of things you have to keep on up to date, and also use it properly. if you share more content, you will have more network, because in LinkedIn, there's a very smart way of getting a lot of connections. It's when you share a content and your friend or in someone in a network comments on your one of your contents or repost them, and their connections can see you, not like Facebook, because I think friends, only friends can see, or friends can see. But in LinkedIn, there are types of connections: first level connections, second level connections, third level connections. First level connection is your direct connections on LinkedIn. Second level connections is you know someone who knows someone. The third level connection is you know someone who knows someone that knows someone. So the third degree of connections. But if you post something and one of your connections post a comment on one of your, let's say, links, and everybody else can see that who is on their list. So it's also a good way to expand your network. That's how it's actually made to do that. So if you keep on let's say sharing good content, people will actually come to you, and your profile will have a higher visibility. So it's not hard. Just go there, spend a day or two, find all these things, and they are there. And also, just to be fair, there are some features that are not available depending on your country. There are certain things that are not available in Europe. So I don't know, for example, on Instagram, I can't reply to messages. So those kind of things. But on LinkedIn as well, I know there are certain features that are not available for me, and also maybe people in Sri Lanka as well. So take a look and then read the documents, and then you will find out. But most of the cases, everything is there, because I remember these projects and experience, everything I added when I was in Sri Lanka, not when I was in Germany. For more information, if you really want to know step-by-step stuff, you can watch this video. It's long, but it explains everything regarding LinkedIn. So I think we will directly jump into the next session. It's not that also, it won't take much time. Can I get a thumbs up from the OC members if I can directly continue? Three, two, one. No. Yes, got it. Okay, let's continue then. Let's wait a minute. Wait a minute, something happened. Yes. Okay, so sorry for the technical difficulties. I clicked on a link. Okay, so let's talk about soft skills, or I would call it real world skills, because soft skills also kind of demean its value. Many people think when you say soft skills, these are optional, but I don't think these are optional. So what people actually think is that you need a lot of technical skills. I don't know, like 75% of technical skills, some domain knowledge in the domain you are working with, could be travel industry or customer services and so on, and some sort of soft skills, and also understanding memes. But what it actually is, it's a little bit different, because I believe, this is my personal perspective, of course, you need at least a lot more soft skills, so called, in your profile than you think. You need technical skills, also domain knowledge, but a large portion, maybe the same equivalent amount you have as this technical skills. You need that. Why? Because you can find people with skills anywhere. And also, you can teach people technical skills. If I need a Java engineer, I can ask someone to do some projects and I can hire them. But it's very hard to find attitudes, because those are you grow up with them, and you build your attitudes and your personality throughout your life. Since you are born, you are building your life, your personality, and your traits, and you can't learn them overnight. So if you prepare for interviews and so they will ask what are my weaknesses and strengths, so I should tell these answers. But trust me, doing interviews for ages, I know when someone is giving a practiced sentence like, my weakness is attention to detail, which is really not a weakness. So these kind of things we can detect. We called it some detectors. I can't say it out loud. I know when somebody is lying in on an interview. So these type of things that I mentioned, you grow up with, you build your career, and also especially your profile, your personality around how you are grown up with it. You can't learn it overnight. That's why it's very important. These are not soft skills, I call them transferable skills. You have to have them because anybody can learn technical stuff. Proved. I can give any examples, like a lot of examples. Anybody can learn programming, anybody can learn about data science or whatever you are doing, but it will be very hard to learn about these skills. I think these are the important transferable skills you should have. So did I not have? Yes, sorry. So I think these are the important transferable skills you should have. First of all, communication skills. Some people think communication skills means that you know English, which is wrong. What if you are working in Germany, which English is not really used a lot? Then you need to know German, which is a very hard language to learn. English is like it's like nursery if you think of compare it to German language, which is very difficult to learn. But that's why I mentioned communication skills does not mean you know English or any language. It's not a skill. Communication skills mean you can express your idea to someone else in a simple term, even when they have no idea about that domain. So when we go or when we conduct interviews, we ask certain type of questions. I also didn't want to show everything, but something went wrong. So now you see all the points, but stay with me. We are talking about communication skills. When we go for an interviews, when we interview people, we ask some questions like, explain a database index to your grandmother. How would you explain that? So this is a very tricky question. So when I ask someone to explain someone to their grandmother or a 5-year-old, which means they need to know how to explain complex things. I mean, database index is not a complex thing, but somewhat complex thing to a certain someone, in this case, a grandmother, in very simple terms using real life examples. So that shows how well they know how to explain things, how well they have their communication skills sorted out. That's what I mean by communication skills. Communication skills does not mean you have perfect English. It doesn't matter if you do certain mistakes, because at least I'm Sri Lankan, I didn't grow up in a household which speaks English. I learned it. And of course, I'm not a native speaker and I will make definitely a lot of mistakes. It's fine, because communication is not about how well you speak, it's about how well you explain someone something that they don't know about. It's very important when you work in a team, very important if you work with different, let's say, customers, could be different stakeholders, you need to explain certain things. I work with project managers who are not really technically, let's say, in-depth, they don't have in-depth knowledge. And also I work with data scientists, which they have a certain set of skills like could machine learning, artificial intelligence, so on. And we need to build data pipelines on cloud to cater their solutions. And I need to know how they actually process certain things. Monitoring, like for example, pipeline monitoring means something else to them and something else to me. I work with students as well, so they have a completely different understanding about technologies. It's very hard sometimes to bring everybody into the same page. And at least in my team, there is no native English speaker. We have people from a lot of countries. So nobody is actually perfect in English, but we still need to make sure that we explain our ideas clearly in a way that they can understand. So communication skills mean that, not how well you actually know English. So just to clarify, so you need to have verbal skills. That means you know how to explain things when you are asked to in a public setting, could be in this kind of case or a team meeting or anywhere. And you need to understand, you have to have the ability to understand when somebody is saying something and maybe comprehend and then also reply back, not just hearing but rather listening. And also very well written skills. So you need to be able to write certain things, could be documentation, could be blogs, all sorts of things. And also need to be able to understand what's written. Maybe your team member wrote a documentation about how to do a certain task. You need to be able to read it and understand. Same way, you have to write it to someone that have no idea what you're talking about, but when they read your document, they should be able to understand it. So how to improve that? For written one, that's why I highly recommend writing blogs and also reading. So there is a really nice platform called Medium. Sign up for that if you don't know that. And there are a lot of places you can learn. Could be Reddit or could be anywhere. Could be even documentation for frameworks. Read it and understand. If you have certain things to share, write a blog. That will immensely increase your written skills. Trust me, you can start one, because you might think, I don't know what to write. I don't have anything to write. I don't know, I'm a normal person. Do you know what my first blog post is about? It's an answer to a past paper in my university to draw an ER diagram. So that was a past paper question. So I solved the question, of course. And then I thought, you know what will be fun? Let me write it in an article. That's how my blog started. Nothing fancy. And if you ever go to my blog, you read all the first articles are some answers to these kind of questions, like past paper questions. And that's how I got into writing. And I never stopped since. I still do write blog posts. And it's fun for me. And maybe in the beginning, it takes me like days or weeks to write a simple article. But now I can write in a one sitting like an entire article, because I know how to do certain things and I use grammar, spell checks, and so on. So the first way you can improve your communication skills in written format is to write and read. So find a platform you can do that. How to do verbal, I don't know, communication skills? It's very tough because at least what I know, we don't speak English at home. I focus on English, yes, because most of the international companies do speak in English, and English is one of the 6 international languages that are spread across the entire world, thanks to British people. So we need to know English at a certain point, but it doesn't mean English is the only language that we need to know. If you know French or Spanish, it's also good. But let's be honest, English is important if you are going to work for in an international company. How can you improve? Of course, you have to speak, otherwise it won't work. So in a normal setting, if you try to speak with your friends in English, they will mock you for sure. That's why we have friends. But if you really need to improve your speaking, you can talk alone. Some people might find it a mental disease, but you can go for certain communities such as Toastmasters or Gavel clubs. I know SLIT has one, Toastmasters, but I don't know if students can join. Gavel clubs, there are different universities or in your area, try to find one, go there. They have a really nice community. I also went there, and really improves not your English, your communication skills, how you explain certain things to people in a simple way. And also you need to also practice hearing people. So watch, documentaries and so on. That's always there. So communication skills, very, very important. I always rate it as the highest skill that you should have. And that's a skill that you should have on you, not on your CV, because it's very hard to measure someone's communication skills from a CV. but we should have it. And also analytical reasoning. That means you base your decisions on data, not on your emotions or any biasnesses. So, for example, we really need critical thinking and also logical thinking in our industry, and also fact-based decision making, which means you always look for the facts before you make a decision. If you want to find the best framework to do something, you do a research, you try it out, and you know how hard it is or fast it is to learn, then you decide. It's not, Praneeth said that Flutter is better, so that's why I'm learning Flutter. No, don't do that. Try to find your requirement and see if it matches whatever the framework you're going to try, then do it. Same way, in a job, it's very easy to be biased with people or decisions. For example, let's say my team wants to try something in Java, but I like Python. But it doesn't mean that I should always say, tell the team, all the engineers under me, hey, we should do Python, not Java. It's very unfair for me. But if I see that we can do something easily and fast in Java, I should do it. That's what we call fact-based decision making. So people should have it. It's very hard. I don't know how to actually improve it. But one thing I can think of could be, I don't know, playing chess. That's one. And I had an entire video on how to improve your logical thinking. You can also check. I also don't remember what I said there. So these skills are very important. And the other one is project management. Project management, I'm not focusing on the project management job, but rather managing any type of project. Any type of project, including your life. Because life is also a project, right? We need to be able to have our head straight, think clearly, focus on certain things and get things done. It's very important to have time management and prioritization. I think that's also one of the questions or in the quiz I saw is really nice, because this is true. Because as undergraduates, that's when you will have the most time as possible in your life. When you do a job, the time that you will have for your life and your personal things will be less. And especially if you want to really focus on career growth, that will be very hard. And of course, in your life, you go to certain level, you have certain commitments, then it also will be very hard to find time to do certain things. That's why you need to have proper time management and prioritization of times. So one thing I heavily use is this method called Eisenhower matrix. So it creates a kind of a grid and separates your tasks into urgent and importance. So if it's really urgent and if it really adds a lot of value, then you should immediately do it. If it's really urgent and if it's not really adds a lot of value, you ask someone else to do it. And if it adds a lot of value, but maybe not really urgent, you put an appointment because it's really important, but I don't have to do it now. But maybe next month, I put a calendar appointment. I need to do this on this day. And if it's not really important and also doesn't really add value, just discard it. This is very important because we sometimes get hung up with a lot of things that we need to do, which is not urgent, no time pressure, and also it does not really add a lot of value. Just don't do it. Just forget about it. Be happy, because otherwise it will stress you a lot. Try to find what actually ticks you. If you find yourself doing certain things which is not valuable to you, don't do it. Doesn't matter. So that's why this project management skills comes really handy. How do you get this skill? Only by doing projects. Could be any type of project. Could be your university project. Take a leadership of a team or leadership of a certain task. Do this kind of volunteering work or anything. Even like cleaning your house. It's a project. You need to paint. You need to buy certain things. I don't know what not. Everything is a project if you really think about it, and try to do proper time management and prioritization of this work. I think this will be really helpful if you want to go in this career. And this is also very important, which is the skill to learn, unlearn, and relearn. What do I mean? I mean, learn is obvious, right? If you need to learn something, if you need to do certain thing that you don't have the skills, you have to learn certain thing. For example, I wanted to make a platform where people want to share books, and I didn't know how to make mobile apps. So I learned Flutter slowly, but I did. And then I made an app. Maybe now, let's say we need to learn how to make websites. So I have to learn a framework. I don't have option. So I have to learn it. So these things we call learning. You have a goal that you don't have the skills, so you have to learn it, or you ask someone else to do it, but ideally you learn something. The most important part is unlearning. Unlearning is when you think you know something, with the knowledge is so outdated, but you still believe that's the truth. In that case, you have to unlearn certain things. For example, one thing could be project management is boring. Or data science is all about machine learning. Maybe you might think, maybe you heard it, maybe for years you believed it. But if you realize this is not the case anymore, you have to unlearn that fact and then learn the new things. This is very important in technology, could be in your life or when you work in a company. This is very important. So there are certain things you have to forget, unlearn. Could be about doing certain things. For example, I used to write code. When I was in Sri Lanka, I wrote code in C++, which is tough, you know. When I came here, I switched to Python. And I started writing Python code in C++ format, which was very bad. Because I thought the correct way to write code is how I wrote C++, which is correct for C++, but not for Python. Python has a different way of writing code. So, I'm not talking about the coding standards, okay? But the style, how to create classes, how to create dependency injections, and so on. So these kind of things I had to unlearn and also learn on my Python skills. The final thing is relearn. Relearn means simply you keep on learning. Maybe you think you know, but you keep on updating your knowledge. Maybe there is for example, let's say a new framework coming for web framework, and you also are a web developer, or you really want to be a web developer, and you go there and then read out and then see what it actually do. Maybe it's important to you. Maybe it will be helpful in your next project. You try to learn it, or you at least be aware this is there. Otherwise, you might think that jQuery is still a thing because it's very old and I don't think people should use it. But if you never learn new things, you might still use that old technologies. That's why many people still learn PHP. I know it's a controversial topic, but there are a lot of good. I'm not a big advocate of, let's say, web technologies because I don't know that domain. I was never a front end engineer. I always worked in the back end, but I still know what things come, like the new frameworks for JavaScript or TypeScript or whatever they come, because I should be able to easily learn if the requirement comes. But if I still believe no, PHP is the way to go, probably I haven't learned anything. I'm not saying PHP is bad, but anyway, so the goal is that you learn, keep on learning, keep on unlearning, and keep on relearning. You have to be up to date, and very let's say open for new things. And the final one is conflict resolution. This is also a personal skills that you have to gain. Otherwise, it will be very hard for you to work in a team or in a company. I don't have any certain tips to give that. You have to go into these situations and learn. There are a lot of ways to do this. There are different theories about this, a lot of psychology going on, but you have to go through it. Otherwise, you will never know. Okay, so then the last thing I want to say, don't worry. It takes time. It takes a lot of time until you actually excel. So don't pressure yourself. Take your time. As long as you learn something every day, you are going in the right direction. I think some wise person said, I don't know, I remember the name, but they said, be better than how you were yesterday. So always be better than how you were yesterday. So do something good that you didn't do yesterday. So it will keep on increasing. If you do 1% better, it will be 36 or 7% better, times better in a year. So don't underestimate the power of small improvements. So with that being said, I wish you really, honestly, wholeheartedly, good luck in your future endeavors. I think this was helpful. If not, feel free to also complain. That's fine. I would also like to learn. If it did, I'm also happy because that was the goal anyway. Now, I think there are a lot of questions coming up. We will try to answer as much as possible.
A big thank you to our speaker for sharing such valuable insights and expertise on LinkedIn. Your session has incredibly informative and engaging, and we truly appreciate you taking the time to enlighten us on this crucial topic. Once again, a heartfelt thank you to our wonderful speaker. All right, folks. Now it's time for our Q&A session. If you have any questions for our speaker or about the upcoming physical session, please type them into the chat and we'll be happy to address them.
Okay, should I go ahead and try to answer?
No, so I'll read out them. So the first question was, does the company also accept the certificate of full stack developer course done by UOM in DP Education?
Unfortunately, I cannot give any public recommendations or criticisms on certain institutions. So I try myself to refrain doing that. However, I can say this. If you are planning to follow any type of certification or degree or diploma or whatever, don't ask people if this is good or not. You know the name of the degree or whatever the program they offer. Do a little bit of research. Do check on Google. There are a lot of websites like Anabin or ZAB. You can also try to find in it. Google, just ask their degree validation or validity programs or validity checks. Put the degree program you want to check, and then they will tell which countries recognize them. Then you will find a lot of surprising facts about so-called proclaimed diplomas anyway. But that's not a topic here. I will not publicly recommend any of the courses. However, what I can recommend is these well-recognized courses from Coursera. They are free most of the cases. Of course, these are not certifications, but it will still help you a lot to learn a lot of things. So do that. And one thing also you can find is try to find people who actually followed this kind of courses and diplomas and see where they are. Don't fall into the trap of winner's biasness. What I mean by winner's biasness is one example I can give is people look at Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, and Bill Gates and then think, they fall out of university or college, so they were successful and I should also drop out. No. This is called the winner's biasness, which means you only look at the winners and then see if they did that, I can also do that, which is wrong because there are millions of people who dropped out of university and failed. This is only one example. I'm not saying that if you fall out of university, you will fail. I'm not saying that. I'm saying don't look at the success stories and try to evaluate a certain thing. Could be a course, could be a degree program, could be anything. Don't do that. Do a proper research. Talk to people in the industry. Check where they actually are. You can already go to LinkedIn and then see where they actually work and then see yourself. If not, you can also try these kind of online degree validation programs and then see if it actually is as valid as they say.
Thank you, sir. I guess that answer was perfect. There was another question asking, is including part-time jobs on my CV beneficial or is it not relevant?
As I mentioned, so anyway, these are my personal opinions. So as I also mentioned, this is not the truth and the holy truth and the whole truth. No. But my opinion here is if your part-time job actually matches or it helps for your career, maybe try adding it. Maybe it will add value and maybe it shows that you are actually courageous and spend time earning something. This is fine, but it's totally up to you. You have to decide if it's actually relevant to your career or not. I mean, for example, if you, let's say, do typesetting in your free time to earn some cash, which is totally respectable, it's totally fine as long as you are not doing illegal things. But try to think about whether you should add it into your CV or not, because it does not really add a lot of value if you are going for a software engineering job, right? So think about that, try to see the relevancy, and then you will know.
Thank you, sir. So there was another question asking, to work in big data and data science field, is it essential to start our career as a data analyst or data engineer?
No. No. There is nothing essential like that. You need to be willing to learn, as I mentioned, a lot of things. You will find a lot of things that you don't know. I have a lot of examples. There are a lot of people I know who used to be English teachers and became data scientists, who were working as neurobiologists and became data engineers. All those cases. So don't beat yourself. You don't need to have prerequisites as long as you are dedicated and you're dedicated and you are willing to learn things. It will be tough. It will be very hard, but it's doable.
Thank you, sir. The next question was, does GPA taken into consideration when recruiting for internships or the skills?
Internship. That's a good question. I wish I know an answer for this one, because I know that there's a whole drama going on related to internship in Sri Lanka these days. At least back in the days, it was a little bit considered, but because there's only a little things, small things that you can expect from an intern, right? Because they just, in the uni, so they need to have something to evaluate you on. But if you are skillful, as you say in your CV, if you know a lot of technologies, if you have a lot of practical knowledge, I think that's more important now than ever, to get not just interns, but anyone. Your degree or GPA will be important if you want to apply for higher studies, could be master's degrees or PhDs. And maybe, just maybe, depending on which country you apply, the visa process might consider this GPA. But other than that, I don't think it should be a big concern, because I know people who had first class degrees, maybe even bachelors, who didn't know a lot of technical stuff, which was very hard for them to get jobs. And on the other hand, people who didn't really do much, did a lot of other extracurricular things and didn't have much GPA, but landed on a job before everybody else. As I mentioned earlier, don't be biased by these winners biasness. So it doesn't mean you have a low GPA and you will still have a job. No, I don't mean that. It's case by case. But I don't think at the current situation, you should probably focus more on your technical skills, I would say. But I don't know. It totally depends on the company.
Thank you, sir. The next question was about volunteering. It was, should positions held in clubs like IEEE, such as president or chairperson, be categorized under the experience section, considering that I'm still an undergraduate, or should they be listed under volunteering? I guess.
I think it's subjective, right? I mean, it depends on what you want to do. It's still experience. It's not a job, but you can still put it as an experience, because if you held a position, I think it probably goes towards the experience level, because then you can put as a position. If I remember correct, in volunteering, you cannot put a position like a president or a secretary or anything. So then ideally it should go in the experience section, but make sure that you explain his volunteering experience, not professional like job level experience. But of course, if you have done some volunteering, is very important because it shows a certain character trait you have, which as recruiters we highly admire.
Once again, a heartfelt thank you to our wonderful speaker. All right, folks, here's another exciting opportunity for all of you eager to kickstart your careers. We'll be posting a link on our WhatsApp groups or scan the QR code displayed on the screen for you to submit your CV within the next 2 weeks. Why, you ask? Well, because we are teaming up with some incredible companies who are eager to welcome fresh talent like yourselves into their positions. So let's make the most of this opportunity and leverage the knowledge we've gained today to create compelling CVs that stand out to potential employers. Keep an eye out on the WhatsApp group for the link, and let's take proactive steps towards advancing our careers. But here's the kicker. Priority will be given to participants of both of the physical and online sessions, so you definitely don't want to miss this chance to get your foot in the door with some top-notch employees. So keep an eye out for that link, polish up those resumes, and let's make some career magic happen. If you haven't already joined our delegates WhatsApp group, simply click on the link provided in the chat. Don't miss out on important updates, networking opportunities, and exclusive announcements. Let's stay connected and make the most out of this event together. Before we conclude, I want to take a moment to extend our sincerest gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Mr. Praneeth Piris. Your insights, expertise, and passion for technology have truly inspired us today. On behalf of everyone here, we'd like to present you with this digital token of appreciation as a small gesture of our immense gratitude for sharing our knowledge, your knowledge, and expertise with us. Thank you, Mr. Praneeth Piris, for being an invaluable part of today's event.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to take part. I'm really happy always to attend these kind of things and give as much as back to the society.
Thank you, sir. As we wrap up this incredible event, let's take a moment to capture the memories. I encourage everyone to turn on their cameras and give us their biggest smiles. Whether you're joining from home or office or wherever, let's freeze this moment in time with a group photo. So get ready to strike a pose and let's make this snapshot one to remember. Wait for some time and say cheese after the countdown. So the countdown will be starting now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and say cheese. Thank you. On behalf of the entire organizing team, I want to extend a massive thank you to each and everyone of who joined us today. Your enthusiasm, engagement, and active participation truly made this event a success. We hope you found today's session insightful, informative, and inspiring. I want to thank each of you for your time, attention, and valuable contributions throughout the event. Your presence made this event truly special, and we hope you'll leave feeling empowered and inspired to unlock your potential. Remember, your journey to success starts here, and we are here to support you every step of the way. Thank you once again, and we look forward to see you at our next event. Until then, stay motivated, stay inspired, and keep striving for greatness.